Unit 8, Education. Part 1, Listening.
Long conversations. Conversation 1.
Hi, I have a problem now, and I really hope you can help me.
That's why I'm here. What can I do for you?
I'm supposed to do a literature review for my linguistics course, but, I'm having a hard time finding the articles. I don't even know where to start searching.
You said this is for your linguistics course, right? So what's your focus?
English idioms.
Well, since you have a focus, that's already a good start. Okay, actually, most of our materials are available electronically now. You can access linguistics databases or electronic journals and articles through the library's computers.
Cool, that's great. Too bad I cannot do this from home.
But you can. All of the library's database and electronic sources can be accessed through any computer connected to the university network.
Really? I can't believe I didn't know that. But it still sounds like it's going to take a while, going through all of that information, all of those sources.
Maybe, but you've already narrowed your search down to articles on English idioms. So it shouldn't be too bad. And you probably noticed that there's an abstract or summary at the top of the first page of the article you found. When you go into the database and electronic sources, you have the option to display the abstracts on the computer screen. Skimming them to decide whether or not you want to read the whole article will cut down some time.
Right, abstracts. I guess I should try out the electronic search while I'm still here then. Just in case.
Sure, that computer's free over there. I'll be here till 6 this afternoon.
Thanks. I feel a lot better about this assignment now.
Write no more than 3 words to answer the following questions.
Conversation 2.
Don't you think it's a waste of money for parents to send young children studying abroad?
I'm not sure whether I quite agree with you. The younger a person is, the easier it is to acquire a language.
You've got the point. That's what's in those parents' minds. But things turn out to be different.
What do you mean?
Most juvenile students are speaking Chinese all the way except in class, so it's hard for them to improve their foreign language, even living abroad.
How could that be?
They simply couldn't get used to the foreign way of living, so most of them choose to stay with Chinese.
You mean they're isolated from those native speakers mostly?
Exactly. Besides, they have problems taking care of themselves since they rely totally on their parents while at home.
But isn't it a good chance for them to become mature quickly?
It's not necessarily the case. As the only child in the family, Chinese juveniles are weak in communicating with others and dealing with problems on their own.
That's too bad.
What's more, most parents provide the kids with more than enough money to make them live more comfortably.
What's wrong with that?
Most students are poor in managing money, and some of them even get involved in gambling.
How terrible that is.
So you see, that's why I say it's a waste of money for them to study here.
Maybe, but I still don't think all the stories are the same. Complete the following sentences by using the exact words you have heard from the conversation or your own words.
Passages. Passage 1. When was the last time you were called childish? For kids, being called childish can be a frequent occurrence. Every time they make irrational demands, exhibit irresponsible behavior, or display any other signs of being normal American citizens, they are called childish. Actually, age has absolutely nothing to do with it. The traits the word childish address are seen so often in adults that we should abolish the age discriminatory word when it comes to criticizing behavior associated with irresponsibility and irrational thinking. Certain types of irrational thinking are exactly what the word needs. For example, maybe you've had grand plans before, but stop yourself. thinking that's impossible or that costs too much or that won't benefit you. For better or worse, kids aren't hampered as much when it comes to thinking about reasons for not doing something. Kids can be full of inspiring aspirations and hopeful thinking, like that no one went hungry or that everything was free kind of utopia. How many of you still dream like that and believe in the possibilities? Sometimes knowledge of history and the past failure of utopian ideals can be a burden, because you know that if everything were free, the food stocks would become depleted and scarce and lead to chaos. On the other hand, kids still dream about perfection. And that's a good thing because in order to make anything a reality, you have to dream about it first. Now, kids already do a lot of learning from adults, and adults should start learning from kids. Learning between grown-ups and kids should be reciprocal, meaning that the adult population should learn and take into account the wishes of the younger population. Kids grow up and become adults, and even better adults than we have been. The way progress happens is because new generations and new eras grow and develop and become better than their previous ones. It's the reason we're not in the dark ages anymore. No matter what position you are in life, it is imperative to create opportunities for children so that they can grow up to emulate us. Really, they are going to be the next generation, the ones who will bring this world forward.
Choose the best answer from the 4 choices marked A, B, C, and D to answer the question you have heard. Question number 1. How does the speaker consider the word childish? Question number 2. Which of the following statements is not a kid's thinking? Question number 3. Why does the speaker say the world needs certain types of irrational thinking? Question number 4. Which of the following is the reason for progress to happen? Question number 5. What does the speaker want to convince us? Passage 2. I want to talk to you today about language loss and the globalization of English. Sadly, today, languages are dying at an unprecedented rate. A language dies every 14 days. Now, at the same time, English is the undisputed global language. Could there be a connection? Well, I don't know. But I do know that I've seen a lot of changes. The major change that I've seen is how teaching English has morphed from being a mutually beneficial practice to becoming a massive international business that it is today. It is no longer just a foreign language on the school curriculum, and no longer the sole domain of Mother England. It has become a bandwagon for every English-speaking nation on Earth. And why not? After all, the best education, according to the latest World University rankings, is to be found in the universities of the UK and the US. So everybody wants to have an English education, naturally. But if you're not a native speaker, you have to pass a test. Now, can it be right to reject a student on linguistic ability alone? Perhaps you have a computer scientist who's a genius. Would he need the same language as a lawyer, for example? Well, I don't think so. Here, I am not against teaching English. Indeed, I love that we have a global language. We need one today more than ever. But I am against using it as a barrier. Do we really want to end up with 600 languages and the main one being English or Chinese? We need more than that. And I want to remind you that the giants upon whose shoulders today's intelligentsia stand did not have to have English. And they didn't have to pass an English test. A case in point is Einstein. He, by the way, was considered remedial at school because he was, in fact, dyslexic. But fortunately for the world, he did not have to pass an English test because TOEFL, the American test of English, didn't start until 1964. Now it's exploded. There are lots and lots of tests of English, and millions of students take these tests every year. When a language dies, we don't know what we lose with that language. Let us celebrate diversity. Mind your language. Use it to spread great ideas.
Complete the outline below. Write no more than 3 words for each blank. Lecture. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the research writing class. As you may know that a successful research cannot really be broken down into a formula or a one-size-fits-all rule. Successful researchers have had many different approaches. The key to successful research, like the key to many things in life, is balance. In this lecture, we'll discuss 4 aspects of research that you need to balance in order to be successful. The first aspect is to balance the problem. You need to find a problem that is both interesting and challenging. When I say it has to be interesting, I primarily mean that it has to be interesting to both you and other people. The problem also has to be challenging. But the problem cannot be too challenging. It has to be solvable. So again, it comes down to balance. You need to choose a problem that is hard enough to be interesting, but not so hard that it is impossible to solve. Then how will you find that balance? First, the experience helps. When you have read a lot and done a lot of research, you learn to recognize where problems are too easy and where problems are too hard. Another way of looking at this is that you need to find the optimum balance between difficulty and likely payoff. You want to choose a problem that you can solve, but if you choose a problem that clearly has a simple solution, then your solution will be unimpressive and the payoff will be low. Choose a problem that has moderate level of difficulty so that the likely payoff is optimized. The second aspect is to balance persistence and flexibility. Successful research requires hard work. It can make up for your lack of skills in many areas. Part of hard work is persistence. Thomas Edison tried 10,000 different designs for the light bulb before he found one that worked well. The same will hold true for you in your research. You may spend months trying to solve a problem before achieving success. On the other hand, you also need to know when to give up, or rather, when to change your approach. This is flexibility. Then how do you judge this? One guideline may be to recognize your natural tendency and make conscious effort to resist it. For example, your natural tendency is stubbornness, so you should make a conscious effort to move on to the next problem when you find yourself spinning your wheels. The third aspect is to balance the ability to work independently and the ability to work as part of a team. First, you need to learn to work independently. That means you need to be able to learn on your own. If you don't know something, you won't always have a professor to go to for the answers. You need to develop enough initiative so that you can solve problems on your own. But it is impossible to be too independent. You also need to learn to work in a team. For example, you need to learn to build on the work of others, and you need to communicate your failures and your successes with others. You also need to work as part of a team and under the direction of your supervisor. The last aspect is to find balance in your life. In life, besides work, you need to have personal relationships, a spiritual life, hobbies, and rest. Hard work is crucially important, as discussed earlier. But if you work so hard that you don't have time for anything else, then you will find that your hard work is meaningless. When you work hard, but don't rush to get your work done. Take time to think. Then it will take you less time to actually solve the problem. If you follow this way, in the long run, you'll be more productive. Okay, in today's lecture, we've covered a lot of material, but ultimately, research boils down to balance. So as long as you've grasped what we should balance, it should be very probable that your research is half done. Hopefully, the ideas in this lecture will assist you in your research.
Choose the best answer from the 4 choices marked A, B, C, and D to answer the question you have heard. Question number 1. Which of the following statements is true according to the speaker? Question number 2. According to the speaker, what is a challenging problem? Question number 3. According to the speaker, what does flexibility mean? Two. Use your notes to decide if the statements below are true or false. Write T for true or F for false. Correct the false statements. 3. Fill in the blanks to complete the notes according to the information you have heard.